Kyloe AwesomeDocs, Unpacked. I have the pleasure of being joined by Kathy Cohen from CrossMed, based in Omaha, Nebraska. Welcome, Kathy. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, originally I wanted to do this in person in Omaha. I told you that we are going to make a trip, and then last second got changed. But obviously, video is the norm these days, so all good. But hopefully, I get to be out there and meet you in person. I know we've talked for years,
Right.
but it's always good to put a face with a name, when we're together. But why don't we start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself, telling us a little bit about CrossMed?
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta love technology. Even if you couldn't be here, at least we can wrap this up and get this done. So Kathy Cohen, COO of CrossMed Healthcare. We are a healthcare staffing agency here in Omaha, Nebraska. We staff primarily nursing and allied, but we do CNAs, LPNs, that type of thing as well, and locums. So that's kind of our latest and greatest branch of nursing or travel staffing that we provide to different facilities. Been here at CrossMed for about 6 months now, 7 months. It's going by really quickly. But lots of cool things are happening here, like our integration and our partnership with Kyloe.
Yeah. I know it's been interesting 12 months for you. Just a little bit about myself, Ben Fuller. I've been in the industry. I don't know if you know this. I've been in the industry coming up on almost 25 years.
Oh, goodness. Did not know that.
Yeah. So I'm kind of dating myself. Staffing and recruiting software, SaaS, AI components. Been at Kyloe for 3 great years. Kyloe has 2 sides of their business. We have a services side where we do net news, Bullhorn implementations. We also do mergers and acquisitions. So if you ever purchase a company, let us know. And then we do a lot of customizations for our customers. So that's the services side. And then we also have a product side where I fit in. We've got 4 main products. We've got a data tools product that's around the hygiene, merging duplicates, making data updates. We have a generative AI tool. We've got a note taker tool. And then what we're really talking about is our AwesomeDocs tool, which has had a transformation because primarily it was built on Bullhorn. Now we've transformed over to Salesforce, where obviously we've come together as part of that. So I mentioned the last 12 months. Tell me what's been happening with CrossMed the last 12 months.
Yeah, it's been a little bit crazy. And, to your point, I never knew Kyloe did all those things. So we're going to have to chat about that afterwards, too, about all the other services that you guys offer. Love that. So CrossMed's actually been through a little bit of a change over the last 12 months. In that respect, acquired a company last fall and kind of grew out our recruiting team as well as our back office systems and how we're kind of going about doing business. The healthcare staffing agencies, they're having to adapt. It's been kind of stagnant the last 12 months. It's kind of an outlook that we're seeing and pretty much going to be on par for next year too. So what can we do? How can we change things to make ourselves more advantageous, more different and better to serve our customers? And from my perspective, I came as a CIO background, and it's all about tech and people. So that's the 2 things that we like to merge here at CrossMed is, it's a people first organization. And we're really putting that at the forefront, embracing our culture of not being one of the great big guys, but actually doing some really cool things when it comes to our recruiting team, our operations team, and also, just our travelers, just making sure that they're comfortable and how they come into our group. The company we acquired a great group of travelers from that team as well as some fantastic recruiters and some back office people that are helping our journey. But at the end of the day, as much as I love tech, We're just focusing on what can make us a better partner with our travelers and our facilities.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a little bit later on about their transition because you'd been a CIO and now you have a COO hat on. So, how
Yeah,
your mindset has changed. So, we can talk a little bit about that. What also has been a big change for you is changing platforms, right? CrossMed had
right.
been on Bullhorn for years. They'd been an AwesomeDocs customer for 4 years, and you guys made the decision to move over to Salesforce. So, talk a little bit about that transition and the decisions you made.
Yeah, so big transition, especially for those recruiters that have always been on Bullhorn and then coming into a Salesforce environment. One of the things that we learned about that, and I guess a part of that transition, was just getting buy-in. It was more about making sure everybody felt a part of the process. What tools did you like that you were previously using with Bullhorn? What tools are we using on the Salesforce platform that from the company we acquired that actually make it work? And then merging some of those things together, kind of looking at what's the best of the best that we can offer our recruiters. What are some of the tips and tricks that, we can pull from any type of experience and actually make a system that works well for CrossMed. That at the end of the day was what our goal was what works best for CrossMed. Might not work great for everybody else, but it works great for us. So part of that transition plan was data review. You have to jump into all the analytics as far as cleansing data, especially when you merge two very like-minded companies. You have a lot of duplicates. You have a lot of synergies between those companies. But when you're putting two systems together, you got to be extremely careful about it. So that, I think, was one of our biggest headaches. But it also gave us a chance to look at all the different tech, whether it was our telephony system, our texting system, our onboarding system. What were those things that are out there in the marketplace that maybe we hadn't looked at before because we were in one particular area? And how can we actually make that process better? So that was the gist of it, jumping into it. And now looking at it from a COO perspective, it's a little bit different because I'm actually look at the entire focus of the company, not just how we're approaching this from a tech perspective. So hence the people first, people first, then we can layer in tech just to make us more efficient.
Well, we were really excited when you decided that you wanted to bring over AwesomeDocs into your environment and to continue to use us and saw the value in it. For us, it was a little bit different. We had built AwesomeDocs primarily for the recruitment cloud platform, which is obviously just an ATS built on the Salesforce platform. There are other ones like Job Science and Target Recruit that we had targeted and focused on building out AwesomeDocs. But you were on a custom AwesomeDocs environment,
Totally.
right? So tell us a little bit about that whole implementation and how it went.
So I really didn't know how it was going to go to begin with. Our Salesforce instance is all built on custom objects. We don't use anything standard. It kind of what makes it a little bit more unique than most other platforms that are out there. But I was extremely skittish in the early days about looking at how we were going to implement Kyloe into this. All of our recruiters that had previously used it loved it. They loved the platform. Hey, can we do this? Can we do that? We were always looking at, just different ways to utilize it. But it was an adventure, and one that honestly, we had an extremely great alliance with Kyloe in doing this, especially with Griffin. So he was instrumental in basically breaking down what Kyloe could do for us, and then going a step beyond and actually learning our system, right? So, it's one thing to just implement a new product or your product that you're used to, which he was, into somebody's system and actually look at it and say, oh yeah, it works. We've all gone through those different types of integrations. But the other part of that too is just about, he learned our system. He learned how we did things. He learned how we went about um, business. He learned what our process was within Salesforce. He learned Salesforce. So there was all of those different really cool things that Griffin brought to the table that that actually made this journey way less complicated than I ever thought it was going to be. So, we couldn't have done it without him.
Yeah. Shout out to Griffin. I've heard that a few times. So good to hear that continued partnership and learning something new. And, I think at this point, we talked a little bit about this previously, that you're kind of jogging as you push Kyloe different use case out there. Talk to me a little bit about like the use cases so far that you've implemented.
Yeah, so when we first went after it, I didn't know all of the different things. Obviously, from your intro, still don't know all the really cool things that Kyloe can do. But jumping into it, our first attack point was the resume builder, the profile builder for our recruiters. They were getting into a brand new system with Salesforce. We wanted something that was going to be easy. We wanted to bring, I hate to say it, those crutches with them, but this was one that they relied on. It was actually super dynamic and was going to be a great add-on for our Salesforce environment. So that was essential. That was the turning point. When we implemented it, we were actually able to utilize all the changes that Kyloe had made to actually make it better than the product that they had before, using it in Bullhorn, which was super cool for our recruiters. They love the new Kyloe. They love the new AwesomeDocs features. They think it's way more dynamic. They think it's easier to use. And that was one of our first stepping off points. We wanted to make sure that was right, and get our recruiters up and going before we actually launched into the next phase. So we kind of built this, to your point, crawl, walk, run. What can we do first to make sure our systems stay in place? What can we do first to make sure our recruiters stay at our forefront? And now we're just adding on more services and more of the advantages that we can use with AwesomeDocs. The second one that we've just finished up, which our client management team loves, and our major accounts team, is that we've started doing the cover letters as we're doing submittals, and then the submittal packets. Just how dynamic AwesomeDocs is, and the 2.0 piece of it, it's now reduced our time from submittal process out by half on those applications that we're actually using it on. We've timed it, so it just kind of makes it a little bit easier process for them. Now that's on the front end side of things. On the back end side of things, we have some people on our IT team that have actually been building some of this stuff in lockstep with Griffin, and they are just amazed at how much easier it is to use it now with the 2.0 and how it implements within Salesforce. So, from my standpoint, it's a win-win. It's a win on the back end. It's a win on the front end. And it's just definitely been something that we've been excited about having.
Those are all great. I mean, those are common use cases that we see. What about the future? So what are some of the things you're thinking about, like how AwesomeDocs can help with some of the automations or some of the things that are being done manually, where we can help in some of those future use cases?
So future use cases, probably going to be going more towards our compliance team and looking how we can implement AwesomeDocs with our compliance team. As you're aware, 25 years in this industry, that compliance is a big portion of what we do for staffing, and just basically looking at how can we automate some of those flows through the use of AwesomeDocs? How can we implement a little bit more, I guess, fluid action between what our sales team is doing and what our compliance team is doing, and bring those things together with a product that they're already using. So that's kind of future stuff on that piece of it. And, we'll just see how that gets implemented here in the next, probably, I would guess, 4 to 6 months out on the compliance side as we go through the fall.
Well, I mean, as someone as a forefront here of using AwesomeDocs on a custom Salesforce, we strive and ask you to push us, right? If there's things that you think that AwesomeDocs can do and would like it to do, don't hesitate to reach out to us, because you're going to obviously drive the innovation as a customer. So don't hesitate. I know you won't, as part
No,
of that.
not even. Yeah, and honestly, I think it's been a great partnership from that perspective, because as we've encountered issues or errors, and on our side of things, Kylo's been great about, okay, well, let's just tweak this, or let's just make an adjustment to make this easier, or even to the point, hey, we didn't think about that. Now let's approach that particular situation a little bit differently. So I think I think that part of it is really cool. The partnership there, very open communication from that standpoint. Doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. We've got emails flowing about making changes and updates as we go through it. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ROI of seeing a 50% decrease in time for that submission packs, and you're really only scratching the surface right now because you're focused on your VMS portion of your business. Obviously there's a lot more, efficiencies and value to be seen. So we're excited about, continuing to work with you. I want to ask a few kind of ending questions.
Sure.
You've transitioned from a CIO in this industry for a while. Every time I talk to a CIO, it's always build versus buy
Right.
when it comes to their tech stack. Obviously, you've transitioned as a CIO. What's your mindset still when it comes to your tech stack and whether you buy versus build?
I think it involves, to your point, it's all about efficiencies. How fast can we build something? And is it going to give us the same ROI as if we buy something? So I think there's that piece involved. Looking at it from a COO perspective, it's like, how much is it going to cost us versus how much time is it going to take to implement it? So I think we have a good mix here. We have a pretty cool team here that actually we bring in all different facets of our organization, whether it's finance, sales, operations, just to help us make some of those decisions. It's not a siloed decision that we make at any point, especially when it comes to our tech, because it impacts everybody here. But I think it has to do with, what's your outlay on cost versus what's your time commitment, and what else can you be using those resources to be doing, whether it is time or money, and to actually build your business. So I think you just have to evaluate both sides of it.
We're excited that you chose AwesomeDocs as a buy partner, right?
Yes.
So it kind of shows the value there. So we appreciate it, and we hope that you continue to push us to be better, during our partnership, hopefully for years. The next question I have to ask, we haven't said those 2-letter words yet, but when it comes to AI, where are you in your journey? What's the future for CrossMed when it comes to AI?
So I'm a firm believer, as much as I love tech, I'm a firm believer that it's people first. That interaction that we have with our travelers, that our recruiters build those relationships, that is at the forefront of everything. But I think AI really and truly has a place, especially in staffing. First off, I think it's essential for, to clean up back office, admin perspective, all of those day-to-day cumbersome duties that we can implement AI in, just to make us more efficient, and I think that seems to be a common thread here with what I've been saying, is just being more efficient, doing more with less, but also doing it better and doing it smarter. So I think that AI across the board is a great addition for us. We are actually looking at some AI tools. We're implementing a couple of AI aspects into our Salesforce instance right now, which is very exciting, but we're keeping that piece of technology basically behind the scenes for us. It's not going to be a client facing integration. It's not going to be something that you're not going to get a live body on the phone. Heck, I even still answer the phone around here just because I want to hear some of the calls that are coming in. But I think AI is important when we look at how fast we can go to market, how we need to change our mindset about how we can strategize differently, how we can adapt to different circumstances, whether it's looking at new regulations from states, which is something that we all have to do in the staffing world, whether it's looking at new specialties, new accommodations for travelers, just those things. I think there's some really cool tools out there, and we're looking at expanding our AI offering here at CrossMed, more from an internal perspective, not really from an outward facing perspective.
Got it. Interesting. So my last question, just thoughts on the healthcare industry, where you see it's going, how it's changed from when you started, where we are today, where we're going, and then where CrossMed fits into this. Like, what are you guys thinking about going forward?
I actually started in the healthcare industry in a pretty unique time. It was at the height of COVID. So
Okay.
I got to see that, that huge high within this group. And it's kind of plateaued a little bit since then. Probably see next year, probably about the same as what this year has brought. But I do think there are some advantages to us being at this level. It's really allowed agencies to level set. What is the quote unquote new normal, or the old normal per se, if you were here prior to COVID. But I think there's still a lot of opportunities that different agencies can look at, and just increasing your brand awareness. I think that's a big thing. And I think that's something that we've focused on with CrossMed, is it's not just about CrossMed, it's also about our travelers. How can we give them a better overall experience? And we want that CrossMed experience to be something that's really held with super high regards, right? So we want to make sure that the traveler is treated right. We want to make sure that how we go to market is appropriate. We want to make sure that we're giving our internal customers, which is what I refer to as our recruiters and our back office team, the best and most efficient tools. And so in that perspective, I think CrossMed will just continue to grow and evolve, as even if industry itself is at a plateau, simply because we are bringing more of what, from a tech perspective, but more of what we can offer for our candidates and our facilities across the board, just a better experience overall. So I think that's part of how we achieve growth at this point. I think that's true for any staffing agency. You got to figure out what your niche is. How do you go to market? What makes you better? Or how can you excel with your product offering? And I think that's something that we've learned at CrossMed and that we will continue to build on.
That's great. Well, this has been awesome. I appreciate your time. Just from a recap, it sounds like there's been a lot going on with you guys,
Wow.
and I'm sure it will continue. And for us and the partnership, we value that you're seeing some benefits from AwesomeDocs across from resume formatting to cover letters and now into the submission packs. And who knows for the future when we start to get back into the back office functionality of things, credentialing, compliance, all that good stuff. So that's exciting. From your perspective, I don't know if there's anything you want to mention to end the call today, but we definitely appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, it's been a great partnership with Kyloe. We should probably redo this again in 6 months just to kind of see where else we've taken this particular product and what we've done with it. If we've implemented AI with it, some cool things like that. So might be a better part 2 conversation. But no, we've enjoyed it, and just what it's brought to our entire team. We just can't thank you guys enough. So appreciate you all.
Thank you. If anyone has any questions, you'll be able to find us Kathy or I on LinkedIn, or obviously you can find us on the web pretty easily. If you have any questions about CrossMed and their services, or Kyloe and what we have to offer, we'd love to hear from you. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Ben.